Hi everyone, it's Joanne here from Everyday Alignment, and today I wanted to talk about how to stop being a people pleaser. So, are you a people pleaser? I know that I can really be a people pleaser, but in this video I just wanted to explore a little bit more around what's behind this, why we do what we do, and just, how we can take some steps forward to changing it. Because if you're anything like me and you've been a people pleaser in the past, it can be overwhelming, it can be exhausting. You just feel like you've got to say yes to everybody, you feel like you're keeping everyone happy. So let's just take a look at what's actually going on here. Now, it's human nature to like to be liked, okay? We try our best to get people to like us, and this is the main drive that's behind being a people pleaser. So regardless of who you are, I'm sure everybody at some point has actually done it, and we've tried to change what we're doing. We're trying to keep other people happy, and we're saying yes to other people all the time because we want to be liked by them, okay? Human nature, absolutely nothing wrong with it. Don't beat yourself up about it, because, that's what we're like. We're sociable creatures, and we've got a tendency to try and keep other people happy so that we can maintain good relationships, okay? But the trouble is that once you start becoming a yes person and it becomes your default mode, so you're almost trying to keep the world happy, so every person in your life, everybody at work, everybody in your social circle, your family, this is when we sort of upset the balance. So saying yes to people now and then to keep them happy, or to go with the flow, or to maintain good relationships isn't a bad thing. I'm just talking about this extreme of saying yes to everybody all of the time, and how much that can actually damage you as a person in the long term, okay? Because if we become a total yes person, it can make us very easily upset when people aren't happy, because we start to base our own sense of self-worth, our own sense of value around whether other people are happy or not. So the moment they're in a little bit of a mood, they've not slept very well, they've got out of bed the wrong side, they're a little bit grumpy for whatever reason, we take everything personally. So we think it's our fault because we've done our very best to keep them happy, and then all of a sudden this person isn't happy for some reason, okay? This is when it starts to become a problem. This is when we need to start kind of changing it, because it's just not serving us anymore. Because as soon as our sense of self-value and self-worth is involved, then it becomes a problem, okay? Also, we can start to feel very resentful, we can start to feel overwhelmed because we're taking so much on, because we're not saying no to everybody else. And just generally keeping people happy becomes an exhausting full-time job, and this is when it just really isn't healthy. And you can almost become obsessed with trying to make people like you, and then if they either don't like you or they're just never happy, you take all of that on board as if it's your own fault and it's your responsibility. So really, to change this around, I would say small steps, because I still have days where I feel like I do it too much. I do it at home. I'm trying to kind of keep the peace with everybody. I also recognise that other people in the home do it with me if I've had a bad day. So, we all do it to each other. We all try to keep each other happy. But, start to recognise that, one, it's not your job to keep everyone happy. I think just recognising this fact and just knowing that that isn't your total responsibility is a huge relief, a huge weight off your shoulders, okay? So recognise that, and also just remember that if you're people pleasing all the time, if you're constantly saying yes to others to keep everyone happy, that no one actually gets to see who you really are. Now, in my last video, I've talked about having the courage to be yourself, so you might want to go and have a look at that one, alongside this. But people don't get to see who you really are if you spend all your time trying to make everyone else happy. They just, you just become that yes person, someone that they always rely on if they want something done, someone that they start to put upon because, they're feeling overwhelmed with some areas, and they know that you'll just pick up all the slack. So, just recognise those two things. It's not your job, and people never get to see who you really are. So how can you actually start making a shift with this? And I'm sure I'll do other videos on this subject, but this is just kind of a quick, let's look at some things that you can do to change this around. Well, firstly, start thinking about what's important to you, because often we don't consider that, because when we're people pleasing, that gets in the way. So when we think about what's important to us, it becomes right down that list of priorities in comparison to what everybody else needs, okay? And that really doesn't feel good. Yes, it feels nice to do things for other people, but we don't want to put ourselves last on the list all the time. Because saying yes to everybody else means that we're usually saying no to ourselves, okay? And it's okay to say no to ourselves sometimes, especially if, if you're a mum and you've got children, you know that there are times you need to say no because you need to get on with something that's going to mean that your child's okay, or it's going to support them with their personal growth or whatever. So sometimes, we do need to say no to ourselves to benefit other people, and we'll even do this socially and for family members and friends and people at work, just so that we can maintain those good relationships, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when we're constantly pushing our things down to the bottom of the list and we're starting to feel unappreciated, we're exhausted and overwhelmed because we're doing everything for everyone else, this means it's become a problem and it needs to be nipped in the bud, okay? And the third thing really is we start to forget who we really are, because we've based our sense of self-worth and self-value so much on other people's happiness, we start to forget all about our own happiness and who we really are inside, what's important to us, the things that we like to do, the things that we like to focus on, what are the priorities in our own life. So what I would say to start to shift this is to, maybe you want to do some journaling around this area. Maybe you want to meditate a little bit and just, let some inspiration come to you. But just choose one area where you feel at the moment you're constantly that yes person. You're constantly that people pleaser. Now, this could be a situation at work. It could be something that you're always saying yes to with regard to your family and friends that, is putting on you and just taking up all of your time and energy. Just choose one thing, and it might even be something smaller, so that you can just flex that muscle of starting to say no to people a little bit more, starting to reduce the amount of times that you people please, and just focus on that. Focus on, practicing in your mind some steps that you can do, some ways that you can start saying no to people. And it may even be that you you consider what your priorities are, and that makes the decision on the area that you're going to focus on, because that will also help you explain to people why you're suddenly saying no to them. And even though I don't think you need to offer any long explanations, because quite frankly, if you want to say no, you want to say no. Sometimes it does feel better to say to people, well, no, I can't help you with that right now because I've got a priority, which is this, this and this. Okay, so if that makes you feel better to do that, then work out your own priorities before you decide what you're going to say no to. But just choose that one thing. Start to be more of who you are. Start to remember who you are. Start to remember the priorities, the things that are important to you in your life, and how people really need to see more of who you are when you stop becoming such a people pleaser. And just like everything else in life, perfection not required on this one. I do it, and I think the key thing is remembering that there is a balance between the people pleasing and then also prioritizing what's important to you. So I hope that's helped a little bit, and until the next video, you take very good care. Bye.